Hello, Boston. How are you? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Congressman Lynch. Thank you, please. Thank you. You're very nice. Don't jump. Folks, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me begin by saying, Mr. Mayor, thank you for inviting me to participate today. It's a genuine honor. And Mr. President, President Pelton, I just want you to know, in Delaware, the lieutenant governor is in charge of the weather. Not the mayor, the lieutenant governor. And Governor Baker, Charlie, always proud to be with you. You're a stand-up guy. Thank you. And Miss Baker, thank you. And Mr. Speaker, as my mother would say, no purgatory for you, son. My good, I don't know why the hell you want that job. God love you. God love you, as my mom would say. And my good buddy, Ed Markey, who's one of the great senators and a great piece of Mike Capuano, thank you for being here and for being willing to sit next to Steve Lynch. I campaigned for Steve. He was leading by 23 points, and when I showed up, and he still won. But it's good to see you, Steve. Thank you very, very much. And they tell me that I got a chance to say hello to the Attorney General. Mar, thank you for remembering my son Bo, who's Attorney General of Delaware. I want to thank you for doing that. With great respect for you. And Ambassador Flynn, where's Flinny? Is he here? How you doing, pal? When he was ambassador in Rome, he's the only time I've ever gone to Mass with a police escort. And the guy saying the Mass was the Holy Father. And we walked in the back and met it was Easter. We met all the cardinals who were there and assembled, and as the Holy Father came walking toward us, I don't know if you remember saying this, Flinny, you said, my bet's on the guy from Milan. And the Pope looked at him and said, I'm not gone yet. It's great to see you, Mr. Ambassador. And by the way, I've never had a police escort to an Italian restaurant before, so thank you. The members of the City Council, thank you for the job you do, and I say to all your spouses or significant others, you got elected to the job too. There's no way to hang that phone up when they call. I used to be a city councilman, and I ran for the Senate because it was much too difficult. They know where you live, but you make a difference in people's lives. And Maureen, thank you for orchestrating this, and Justice Bud, your dad must be really, really proud of you. And all other local officials. Well, it's great to be here today for the second inauguration of someone who I believe is one of the very best mayors in the entire United States of America. I mean that. Mayor Walsh, Marty, thank you for allowing me to, I guess technically I'm presiding. I don't know what I'm doing, but presiding over these events today. Now, I know you've all been privileged to have some really great mayors over the history of this incredible city. But I don't think it's going to be a surprise to anyone to hear me say that, in my view, Marty Walsh can proudly take his place alongside any of them. One of the great joys over the past few years is I've known Marty a long time, but getting to know him personally. This is a man of extraordinary character in a moment when we need more character and incredible courage. You know, there isn't not a phony bone in this guy's body. You know, Mrs. Walsh, my mom used to say, and I really mean this, and others have heard me say this, my mom used to look at me the time I was a kid and say, remember, Joey, you're defined by your courage and you're redeemed by your loyalty. She could have been talking about your son. Like me, Marty grew up in a working-class family. He worked construction, and I don't think there's a single person in this city that believes Marty Walsh has forgotten them or forgotten where he came from. He survived childhood cancer. He overcame alcoholism. He carries with him in his heart what he's been taught, what he's or can't be learned in a book. He knows how tough life can be. And there's a little kid with cancer on Taft Street in Dorchester who was so wiped out by chemotherapy he couldn't keep his head up in class. This is a kid who endured 4 years of chemo. You think you're tough? Well, that's tough. This is a young man who fell to the grip of addiction and knows the hopelessness that comes from the other end of a bottle. Do you think there's anyone in this city who believes more in giving someone a second chance than your mayor? I don't. I don't think there's a single person. I say to Marty's relatives from Ireland, Seamus Heaney. Everybody thinks I quote Irish poets because I'm Irish. That's not the reason. I quote them because they're simply the best poets. But Seamus Heaney said, and I think it's an insight into Marty's character, in my view. He said, you carried your burden, and very soon your symptoms of creeping privilege disappeared. You carried your burden, and very soon your symptoms of creeping privilege disappeared. This is a man, this is a mayor, who will never ever forget where he came from or why he sought this job in the first place. He knows what he believes. He believes that every single man, woman, and child deserves to be treated with dignity. That's the basic fundamental principle. In my view, it's one of the founding principles of this country, regardless of your station in life. How powerful a message for someone who's at home, in a homeless shelter on the street, asking themselves, can I beat my problem? Can I get my life back on track? Will anyone believe in me? Will anyone give me a second chance? Think of all the people you know and know of who are wrestling with that every single day. And the answer is yes. And in this city, it starts with the mayor. What a powerful message to a city. Look at that man over there. This is a city that's thriving. It's not to say there isn't a whole lot of work still left to be done. Mayor Walsh knows that. Housing, schools, public safety. These are really tough issues. But you have the benefit of taking on these issues from a position of strength, thanks to all the work that you and the council have done over the past 4 years. And there's one more thing. You have the benefit of tackling this issue as the mayor who knows the great challenges of our time is to create, once again, a growing, thriving middle class. Sometimes we hear the phony debate about how we have to choose between being a progressive leader or someone who fights for working people. Leaders like Marty Walsh and many in this room know that's total nonsense. You don't have to choose between your heart and your soul. They're together. So let me tell you, there's nothing more progressive than giving working people a shot, than fighting for a stronger middle class, than supporting the first responders who put their lives on the line every single time they put on that badge or uniform and walk out the door. Here's why. Because it's the most inclusive message there is. Everyone is in on the deal. Everyone. No one's left out. We don't demonize immigrants. We don't look for scapegoats. We don't deny opportunity based on race or gender or sexual orientation. We don't marginalize people. We make it clear that there's no place, none, for the ugliness of racism and hate. Folks, we're all in this together, and this guy knows it in his bones. That's when America's at its best. It's always when we've been at our best. Because it means investing in things that change people's lives, change them for the better. From access to continuing education after high school, to universal health coverage, to affordable child care, job training, a fair tax system. I could go on, but I won't. Because it means we're not only giving middle-class people the ability to fulfill their dreams, owning their own home, living in a safe neighborhood, being able to send their kids to school after high school, we're giving the poor a way up. We're giving them hope. Hope. It's about hope. It's about opening doors, not closing them. You know, I was asked, I've spent more time with President Xi Jinping than any person in the world, any world leader, for a strange series of reasons. But I had 25 hours of private dinners with him. I was in Chengdu, which is a city of 22 million people on the Tibetan Peninsula, on the Tibetan Plateau. And I think I told this to your senator. He asked me, he said, can you define America for me? Just he and I each have an interpreter. I said, yes, Mr. President, I can. One word, possibilities. Think what the hell we're about. Unlike any other country in the world. Unlike any other city in America. It's about possibilities. It's about really believing anything is possible. That's America. That's Boston. And I don't think there's a mayor in America who better understands the middle class, who has done more to fight for its revitalization in the years ahead than your mayor. So let me finish with this. We're at a moment, I think the governor would agree with me, when mayors and governors matter more than they ever did. We need leaders who will stand up against the ugly divisiveness spewing out of Washington every day, that seeks to tear this nation apart, treat us as if we're tribes. We need leaders who know America is made up of neighborhoods. Neighborhoods. We need leaders who will stand up for the core values that we're taught as kids: respect, equal treatment. Hate has no place. We'll be given no safe harbor. There's no limit to how high you can be raised. And that's in this nation. We leave no one behind. Congressman Lynch, when you and I were going through your old neighborhood, what did people talk about in the projects? They talked about possibilities. That's Boston. This city showed its character in the aftermath of the Boston Marathon bombing. I had the great honor of being asked to come back and speak in the one-year anniversary. And I ended the speech talking about how incredible you all are, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. How incredible you all are. When I said, Boston still owns the finish line. The rest of the nation looks to you. Folks, you're a remarkable city with a remarkable past and an unlimited future. And as my grandfather Ambrose Finnegan used to say, this is a match made in heaven. Marty Walsh in Boston. God bless you all.